NBA CBS Sports Insider. He's with us here. Kenny, how you been, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing okay. What's the story? Everything all right?
Good. Everything is terrific. We got heck of a basketball season underway here. Of course, we have the Anthony early news, which is terrible, and away we go. It's always something in the NBA.
You have any update? We already got shot in the leg. Is he? Is he? He's going to live, obviously, right?
I mean, I only know of what I've read. I have not spoken with anybody directly about this, about his condition, the circumstances. But thankfully, if the reports are true, it's not life-threatening. But still, I was listening in on your guys' conversation there. It just, a lot of times athletes are in the spotlight for their actions and sometimes deservedly so. If they're out doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing at an hour they're not supposed to be doing it, but this sounds like this guy was just, this was like you said, an inside job. I mean, this was well orchestrated. I mean, this, it just kind of shows you that the life of the athlete is not all, not all it's cracked up to be sometimes.
You got to be careful. Let's get to the court here, Kenny. The big story: the Warriors, no championship hangover. They've lost one game. So try to, frame this a little differently rather than just regurgitate what most people probably heard so far. Is there anything different that Luke Walton's doing than what Steve Kerr did? Anything at all that you know about?
Not that, I've asked that question myself, and I've asked a lot of people that question, and it seems to be just an extension of what Steve Kerr did last year. And one of the takes that I heard early on when they were off to such a torrid start in the very beginning, before we knew how long it was going to last, was like, well, maybe this doesn't, maybe this means Steve Kerr's a little overrated. Well, no, I think it's the opposite. I think it only gives him more credit for the culture that he created there. He was the one who sort of empowered the assistant coaches to be involved in the meetings, in the film room, on the practice floor, and allowed a guy like Luke Walton, who had not had any, coaching experience at this level, to step in and make it a seamless transition. I also think, first of all, it's a talented team. We all know that, and a very motivated team, because to say that they didn't take note of some of the shots that they took, that maybe Cleveland would have beaten them if they had Love and Irving, and in the off season when a lot of other teams made a lot more noise, we're getting a lot more credit going in. They heard all that, and I think that really propelled them to really want to put the pedal down and prove to everyone that, this was no fluke. We won a championship. We earned it. We're going to go get another one.
It's interesting. The other team that was in the NBA championships, obviously the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they're sitting on top of the Eastern Conference right now, 21-9, but it feels different. And I know LeBron addresses at the beginning of the season, the Golden State Warriors just have more urgency than the Cleveland Cavaliers do. It feels like this Cavaliers team isn't a team that is necessarily guaranteed to go right back to where they were. Like, it feels like Golden State is guaranteed to go back right back to the championship.
Well, be careful, because, even with Golden State, the fact that they're 29-1, that's not going to mean a thing when they open up the first round of the playoffs. And then move on from there. Any of these teams, you look at San Antonio is only 5 games in the loss column behind them, which is crazy to say. The Golden State, deservedly so, has gotten a lot of the publicity and the credit, but the Spurs are right there. And so I don't think there's going to be any easy outs. And I think, to your point on Cleveland, I do think LeBron recognizes that none of this is guaranteed. Just because you're LeBron James and your team went to the finals last year, that doesn't mean you're going back this year. You got to earn it. And I think that's one of the things that he's tried to bring out in this team. And I also think with Cleveland, part of the deal has been they haven't been whole yet until very recently when Irving came back. And I think they're going to have to kind of go through. They went through a little bit of growing pains in the beginning, trying to figure out where Kevin Love was going to fit on the floor without Kyrie Irving out there. Now Kyrie is back, and I think it's going to take some time for them to get that together from a chemistry standpoint.
We're talking to Kenny Berger here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. Kenny has piped in as anybody, and we always appreciate some time. CBS Sports NBA Insider. All right, Jimmy Butler and the Bulls. We've used a lot of words to describe the situation. First-year head coach Freddie Hoiberg. We haven't used the word untenable yet. Do we need to start throwing that around?
I think the team is too talented for them not to play well. So I think, there's a belief around the league that, the talent is there. Fred Hoiberg's very well respected for what he does. and I think there's a belief that they will figure this out. But the problem they have, they have some issues that they can solve. I think you play a little more Taj Gibson to bring back some of that defensive mentality when Noah comes back. You play a little more Noah to bring some of that back, and I think those are schematic things they can fix. What they can't fix is Derrick Rose, and I think that's going to be the issue for them. And it's been it's been quite a bit of an untenable, to use your word, transition from Rose as the star and the franchise player to now Jimmy Butler. And I don't think Derrick Rose was quite ready to ride off into the sunset here yet, but he's not the same player that he was. He does not get to the free throw line. He does not beat you consistently off the dribble, and he's never been a good shooter. Mm-hmm. So I think if you look at that, I think that's an issue. A lot of the stuff, whether maybe Fred Hoiberg has emphasized too much offense over defense, that stuff can be fixed. Derrick Rose can't.
One of the trade rumors that's already started is centered around Houston Rockets center Dwight Howard. He's disgruntled, doesn't like being the non-alpha male to James Harden. And something I saw pop up yesterday said he may be headed to the Knicks. What's happening with Dwight Howard? Is he going to be there for the end of the year, or will he be elsewhere?
You never discount the Rockets doing anything, because Daryl Morey has always been one of the most aggressive GMs in the league, and they will. The Rockets and Howard and everybody involved there will be. You'll hear those names from now until the February trade deadline. Mm-hmm. You'll hear them a lot. I just don't think. First of all, I don't have any knowledge that this report about the Knicks is true. I don't see it personally, and I don't know. Dwight Howard is 31. He's got a history of back trouble. He's going to be potentially could be a free agent after the season. So what assets is a team giving up now to get him when pretty much everybody in the league is going to have enough money to sign him as a free agent? Mm. Because he will opt out. I mean, he'd be silly not to. Despite those things that I mentioned, he's still Dwight Howard. So he's going to get a lot of money on the markets, and it only takes one team to give it to him. I just don't see how much you can give up to get a guy like that at this